Hi guys, welcome to Astrology and Earth Magic. I'm Jen and I'm here to provide a little astrological wisdom to carry us through this full moon we have coming up on Saturday in the sign of Aquarius. Now it's going to be at 3:55 a.m. Here Eastern Standard Time at 16 degrees 59 minutes of Aquarius. So I'm going to show you real quick what the chart looks like because you're not going to get the gist just by looking at this because you have to be able to see the aspects. So I'm going to show a quick little clip of what it looks like from my book here. And if y'all are interested, this is a great book. It is put out by Honeycomb, and what they do is you give them all your birth information and they send you this big book of everything, all the transits that are going to be happening, full moons, new moons, everything, even your zodiacal releasing if you're into that, any kind of transits you have, and they show you what's going to be going on every day. I have this thing with me every day so I can see why I'm feeling a certain way because I don't check my transits all the time, and sometimes you just don't think, where's the moon going to be today? Well, this will show you. So anyway, I'm not getting paid for it, but just it's a great thing. So check out this chart and tell me what you see. So you had to have seen it. It was a very obvious kite formation. So what that is called is a grand kite, and it is a very blended aspect with trine, sextile, so very positive. So what a grand kite is made out of is a grand trine. So that would be 3 planets that are in the same element. So the elements are earth, fire, water, air. So 3 planets in those signs that are each trine to each other. So when we look at the chart here, we have Pluto in Aquarius, we have Mars in Libra, and we have Uranus in Gemini. So it's a trine in air signs and forming into a grand kite because it's got 2 sextiles that are at a peak. Now in this grand kite, we have 2 in a peak with, you can see this right at the top here, stands out a little bit more in the picture that I showed you, so that's why I showed you that. So we have this kite topped off with Saturn and Neptune. So this is a grand trine, so a beautiful blending of 3 planets working harmoniously together in the same sign of air, and this is an air full moon. So it's in the sign of Aquarius. So we have so much air going on, and with this kite, it's just going to let your mind just float away with great ideas, dreams, and how to make your dreams become realities because we got Saturn topping that off in there. So let's break it down and explain it a little bit more. So again, we have the 3 trine planets topped off with the peak planets, which in this are this conjunction here with Neptune and Saturn. They are both retrograde though. So this isn't about just letting your kite string go. You're going to keep that kite on a string because you got to think back and you have to put things into perspective before you're going to let that kite string go and you're going to float off because you're being held down. Saturn is keeping that kite string held so you don't just float away because you're going to do this with a good foundation. So we are at the peak of something, and this is what a full moon is. So a full moon is something coming to a climax. So if you think of Aquarius, Aquarius is the climax of thoughts, of ideas, of individuality, perhaps, originality, innovativeness, and we are actually seeing things coming to a head. I just watched a press conference last night where Apple donated a ton of money to the United States for, I'm not sure what, I didn't get that much into it, but that's innovation, that's growing, that's, working with AI and using that in our everyday lives. Most of us have iPhones, so most of us, except my husband who swears he's never gonna get one, but now he's actually starting to think about it because you're seeing this innovation coming to life, and these things just really at a peak. And so you can do this in your own life too. So we have the outer planets in here. So that means that this is happening all around us. It's not just on a personal level, but we do have Mars in there that is bringing it down onto a personal level. So it's, you know, you really are going inward with these retrograding planets to really get things into perspective, you know, retrospectively almost, to be able to move forward. And with a full moon and in Aquarius, you're kind of cutting ties with the old and going on to something new. It is a Saturn ruled sign, but it's also a modern Uranus ruled sign. So of course we have the rulers that are incorporated into this grand kite as well, that really are just fueling this full moon for this innovation, for this, you know, wherever your mind is taking you, you need to follow, and you need to build that bridge and build those stairs to get there. And this is really kind of where I think we're going to see a lot of changes happening because of this innovation, because the kites are really just starting to let us take off and take flight. And if you look really closely at this chart, you're going to see that we have two grand kites. So, and I have to say, I haven't seen that before. You know, grand trines, you do see them kind of doubled. You know, sometimes you'll have two in each, depending on where you have planets. I see a lot of charts that have grand trines, but when you put a grand kite in there, especially two of them, you know this is something big. This is, you're just gonna have to let yourself soar, and you're gonna have to open your mind up, because this could just take you in flight. You know, think of a kite that's just being, you know, let up in the air, or you're gonna be that kite that just bounces along the ground, that just, you know, the person can't get it up, and so they just keep trying, but they're not getting that oomph, they're not getting that run in that's really gonna just, you know, give it some air. So the next grand kite that we have is still made up of the same grand trine in air. So we have Mars, Pluto, Uranus. So here's our trine right here. But this one, you could see, is topped off by Mercury. So you see the tops, and you can see it with the other one as well. With just the top is two sextiles that go to from these two planets, and then we have an opposition. So in our first grand kite, we have, like I said, Saturn and Neptune topping it off. So of course there's going to be an opposition, because of course when you think of a kite shape, there's the peak, but then there's the bottom. So the bottom right here. So we have a little bit of stress right there. So we have Mars again trying to get things started, but yet we have Neptune and Pluto kind of holding them back a little bit. Just nope, or not Neptune and Pluto, Neptune and Saturn, because you know Saturn likes to really think about things. No, you're going to work to earn this, and it's just not going to come floating in the window to you. And they're in retrogrades again, so you want to go back and think about what's working. Okay, is this the dream I want? Is this the life I want to pursue? Is this the goal I want to pursue? Is this the job, wherever it falls in your chart? Well, our other grand trine that's kind of laying on its side in the video, or the picture that you saw earlier. So we have these three planets, and then right here, Mercury, again in retrograde, in that sextile to Mars and Pluto. So what does that mean? In that opposition, or Mars and Uranus, that opposition is to Pluto. So where are we going to see that strife? So that's what we see. So the opposition to Pluto with Mercury is going to give us a little bit of tension, maybe with authority, with parents. If you're younger and you want to, like, you know, I'm heading off to school or something like that, maybe that is, you know, what's kind of holding you back a little bit. So be ready to put up a fight and to get ready. See my cat walking out of the woods, and I think he has a mouse in his mouth. So if I have to stop this video, that's why. Kind of freaking out a little bit. Anyway, yep, I think he is. Oh God. Anyway, so this is what I'm contending with when we do these outside videos, and I think he's bringing it down this way. So anyway, So these grand kites, they are that motivation. Because why? Because the peaks that we're topped off with, Saturn and Neptune, what sign is that in? In Aries, as fire as you can get. Then we have Mercury here in Leo. So it's about me. I want focus on me because I need to make this about myself, and I need to think about what I need and what I want and how can I move forward with that. And we have that also with that Aries. So it's about putting yourself first and really taking that time to think about who you are and who you've become and who you've grown into. Look at yourself. You're looking back in retrospect to figure out, am I happy with the person I am? And what do I want to change about myself if I'm not? Also, you want to look at, where am I in this life? Okay, so do I have a job I love? Do I live in a home that I love? Am I in a relationship that I love? Again, this is where you want to check where this falls in your chart. So in my chart, for instance, I have Aquarius in my second house. So that's about money, the things you own. And then I have Aries then in my fourth house, which is home. So we could see some changes there. And I know that my husband and I have been talking about kind of breaking loose, doing things to the house, getting things ready, and seeing where we could go, making a plan. And how do you formulate that plan if you don't have a good foundation? And that's where looking back in retrospect is going to help you move forward, because you want to just take this time to just soar. This is the peak. This is the pinnacle right now of where you can start making those changes. And it might just be the time that you do it. So these are our ideas. Again, our thoughts fueled by this kite, and those fire signs are really just taking it onto that next level and giving us that fire and putting that fire under our rear ends to get us going, because it's very easy to get complacent. And I know with where I was just a few months ago, I was very complacent, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to ride this out until I retire. And I made a change. And yes, change is hard. Change is very hard, and it's very hard to learn new things. But now with all this blending airy energy, learning things might be a little bit easier for the time being. And you're using that foundation to really get yourself motivated with that fire. Okay, so my cat does have a mouse, and he's coming over this way, and my husband's in the background cracking up, watching me have to deal with this coming towards me. So just so you guys have a little background on what's going on here, and if I might be acting a little bit off, that's why. But I'm trying to focus. Oh my God, he's getting so close. Anyway, so again, the brainy Mercury is full of ideas and full of potential. Saturn and Neptune is making our dreams come true on a practical level, with planning and a logical plan and a logical grounded foundation, like a good foundation. Neptune in there is making things a little bit wobbly and making us a little bit like, ooh, thinking like that. But this is going to give us that better foundation. Hi, Pickle, do not bring that mouse over here, please. But retrogrades are, they're not letting us go off half-cocked, which is good. So you're not wanting to cut those kite strings. And it's a funny thing, being an air sign myself, I'm always saying to my husband, you're the one that holds my balloon string down, because he is a Capricorn. So he's very, this is the way it is, and this is how we're going to act, and this is how it's going to be. And so he holds my balloon string, I don't just kind of float away. And it's really helpful sometimes, because, one can have a tendency to just let your dreams and let your fantasies kind of, be that pipe dream. But these retrogrades are helping that. So you want to really just take pause, because really, with everything that's happening in the world right now, with all these big changes we're showing, especially with Uranus going into Gemini, and that's like new ideas and new innovations and new changes. And then we have Pluto in Aquarius. That's a whole new normal. So all the normal that we know and everything that we're used to in life is taking on an entire new meaning, and everything is just going to change. And because this is all trying together, we have, everything. If you just look at the outer planets, the ones that are kind of guiding the world right now, we have Pluto, Uranus, Neptune in the sextile. So that makes up the whole top of our kite. And that's where we're aiming. So that peak of that kite is aiming for the sky. It's aiming for the stars. It's aiming for our goals. It's aiming for a new normal, a new life that, it's just encouraging us to just soar and look above, like look higher than where you are. Don't just look sideways, look up and just really let your dreams take you, because this is the aspect to do it. And it's just, after a lot of the tribulations that we've had and a lot of the troubles that we've gone through, with elections and people protesting and just everything that's bringing so much negativity, and the news bringing on so much negativity, this is a very nice positive. And then we have, coming up during this waning cycle, we have the conjunction with, where's my Venus? My Venus must have fell out. Oh no, she's over here. I don't know what she's doing over there. Venus is coming into conjunction with Jupiter, which is coming up, and that's going to be nice as well. So that's going to be maybe something that's going to give us a boost, maybe a surprise, something like that. So this full moon, as a full moon, it's almost like a new moon, I feel like, because it's giving us that awakening. So we're reawakening to what life can be and what we... Sorry about that. So welcome back. Just had to deal with the not mouse but mole issue. Anyway, it's all good. So I just wanted to finish off by saying this moon is also the full sturgeon moon, and it gets that name from the Native Americans that named it that because they would fish under it, and it's like peak fishing season. So if you can take this time to just get out and maybe do some fishing, maybe do some get by the water if you want, maybe just get some air in your, go fast. I know Saturday that me and my husband during this full moon will be out on the boat all day with my grandbaby, probably doing a little bit of fishing, showing her how it's done. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of good luck. So please let me know what you think in the comments. I kind of wheeled and dealed this one, been super busy. So kind of trying not to go by notes anymore and just kind of free flowing. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and let me know what you think. And just leave a comment if you say like, oh, show a picture of the mouse. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's kind of terrifying, but also please subscribe to the channel, and really it helps us grow, and it helps us to just kind of bring out the information of what's going on to everybody out there. And I just love reading the comments, so make sure you read comments or leave comments. Let me know what you're thinking, no matter what it is. And of course, hit the like button and hit subscribe. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up. So I will see you guys soon. Bye.